Hey cousins, welcome back to Finding Queen. If you're new here, my name is Queen, and my mom kept my dad a secret from me for 27 years of my life. I have been filming this entire process from me looking for him to me finding him, and now I'm taking you guys along with me to Guinea to reunite with him for, again, the first time in 27 years. This entire process has been so much. I've been overflowed with emotions and just processing everything. I'm overwhelmed with happiness and gratitude and love and just so much. And it's so crazy how viral this story has even gone. It's crazy that I'm not the only one that has really experienced something like this. There's a lot of people out there that have experienced something like this. And if you are one of those people, please make sure that you comment, that you reach out to me, because I definitely want to help you find your family if I can. I have already helped somebody find their family, and we'll do another video on that. But this entire process has just been life-changing, and I'm so blessed to have the platform that I do have to be able to share this with you guys and to hopefully inspire other people, because if you feel like you're alone but you feel like there's more out there, I guarantee you there's more out there. Don't ever settle for less. Don't settle for unanswered questions, because if you have the questions, you deserve the answers. And one thing about me, and two things for certain, I have always been a little Nancy Drew myself. If I can find out somebody's cheating on me, I can sure as hell find out who my dad is and where he is, and did. So if you haven't seen that process at all, make sure you go to my TikTok over there, to my Instagram. I have an entire series about finding my dad and what that's been like. I have a whole series about me leaving New Hampshire and the journey home to Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm so thankful that I've been able to take y'all along that journey with me. So make sure y'all follow, like, subscribe, and comment, and stay tuned for this reunification. If you're new here and you haven't seen my series on TikTok about finding my dad after 27 years, I highly recommend going and watching that series before you click and watch this video. So very briefly, let's just fast forward into the gist of it about how I even found my dad to begin with. So we'll do a separate video talking about my dynamic with my mom and all of that, but I really just want to highlight how I even found my dad to begin with. So it all started because cut off that relationship with my mom, blah, blah, blah. And I really just got sick of not knowing who I was, quite honestly. And especially when you're mixed and you just have no fucking idea. But when I tell you, you will have a gut-wrenching feeling inside of you. You can know who you are, but if you don't know your culture, and if you weren't raised with your culture, or if you weren't even raised around Black people and you are Black or mixed, it can really fuck you up, genuinely. I say all the time, and I joke around all the time saying I was whitewashed growing up, this and that, but no, it's a genuine thing. And it's not to shade any race or anything, but it's so extremely detrimental and important to know your roots and to be surrounded by people that look like you, because it can affect you 1000%. And I've seen people comment on my videos on TikTok and on Instagram saying, wow, what happened to me really changed the whole trajectory of my life. And absolutely it did. I quite literally didn't even I grew up knowing that I was Black, but if anything, because I wasn't raised around my culture, I quite literally grew up thinking that I was Hispanic. And it got to a point where I got tired of it, honestly. I got tired of just saying, yeah, I'm Black, but not understanding who I am or where I come from. I got sick of only having one parent who wasn't emotionally available for me. I got sick of having a parent that just didn't have the fucking capacity to be a parent, quite literally. And that's where I finally took a DNA test. I've been saying for years how I wanted to take a DNA test, and I wanted to figure out what exactly I was. And I highly recommend, if you don't know your roots, or even if you do, it's honestly really cool to take a DNA test, at least because you might have a lot of family members out there. Even if nobody comes up, at least you can see the breakdown as to what you are, where your roots come from. And when I took that DNA test, y'all, and when it said that I was Guinean, I was shocked. I was completely shocked, because all that I've had my entire life is my birth certificate, and it says a man's name, And where it says where he's from, it just says Guinea. It doesn't say a city, it doesn't say capital, it doesn't say anything. It literally just says Guinea in his name and his date of birth. And I'm just like, okay, that's all I have in one photo. But when you have one parent that is telling you your entire life that's not your parent, it's like you believe your parent because that's your parent. Like, you don't question your parent as a child. But when you become an adult, you have to, like, without a doubt. And so I did the DNA test, came back that he was my father. I was hoping that I would find a relative on there, but honestly, the only relatives that came up were like maybe one person. I tried to message them and they had no idea how we were related. So that didn't help. So then I called some family members. I called my sister to see if maybe she knew anything, to see maybe she remembered anything about my dad. She said that she didn't, but we called her aunt, who may have known him or known about him or something. It was worth a shot asking. Again, nobody in my entire family has ever like spoken about my dad. Like, nobody on my mom's side, nothing have ever mentioned my dad to me. It's, even if they did, I don't remember at all. And so we called some of her family members, my sisters. And the first thing that she says is, I thought that you had a relationship with your dad all these years. I was literally crying and I'm just like, no. And she goes on to tell me about my dad. Like, yeah, I knew him. Like, yeah, I knew him. He was a great man. He was so kind. He treated your mother very well. He's very highly respected. And that warmed my heart in a sense of, at least I know that he was a good person. Like, that makes sense. Because everything that people were telling me about him, when it came to the point of me asking finally, it sounded like I was just like him, to be honest. And it's just crazy. So on to my godfather. I spoke to my godfather. He said that he's been waiting literally ever since. He's been waiting for me to come to him and ask him, because he knew my dad. He was around him a lot. He told me that he tried to tell me when I graduated high school, but unfortunately my mom wouldn't allow us. Like, she just was very weird. And I mean, she knew what she was doing. Obviously my mom has known what she was doing this entire fucking time by not telling me shit. My mom is a very controlling person, if you haven't caught on to that yet. And so he told me so much, and he was like, yeah, like, if you are looking anywhere, I would look into like Guinean communities because they stick together. So when I was doing research on finding him, again, I had made this post on Facebook, but the post wasn't approved yet. I think it took about a week before this post was actually approved. So I did go into other groups on Facebook where people try to locate people, and there are people called search angels. And search angels are essentially what they're called, search angels. They're angels of people, just really good, kind people who genuinely just want to help people. They don't charge you nothing. It's people genuinely trying to help people reconnect with their families or lost loved ones for free. And I made a post in that group, a picture of him, the name, and when I tell y'all, like, thousands of people, hundreds of people commented on this post. People were messaging me. People were sending me court documentations. Like, I was literally able to see, like, when my dad brought my mom to court, this and that, assault battery charges that he had against my mom, like, so much stuff. And then also with my line of work as well, I was able to access that information, that database, and I searched him up using that database as well, to be honest with you. And the last address that he was at was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was already going to Atlanta, Georgia that following week. And it's so crazy because the place where I was gonna be at, he literally lived down the street from this house. That's his last address. I couldn't find the phone numbers that I did find on there. I called them all of them are freaking disconnected. And my hope was, okay, well, he could be here, because I think the last records of him being in the United States was probably in like 2002 or so, 2002, 2004, early 2000s. And so with that information, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the house. Because again, Africans stick together. A lot of times foreigners, they stick together, even though it's cousins. Even if he's not there, maybe there's a cousin that still is there. Go to the house, knock on the door. Hey guys, so as you know, we're going to find my dad, possibly. So we're on our way. We're down the street, like 6 minutes away.
Keep going.
Fingers crossed.
There we go.
Fingers crossed. Positive energy. And when we went to the house,
See, babe, first of all, I don't know if they want to be filmed. So I'm going to put it down for a little bit just to see first. Okay.
unfortunately, it was an Indian family living there. So now back to the drawing board, right? Trying to figure out, okay, shit, this is literally the last house that he's at in the United States. I don't know what to do now. As soon as I get back home, so the post was approved in this group on Facebook. As soon as this post was approved, it went completely viral on Facebook. When I tell you thousands of people shared that post, thousands of people commented on the post, that next day, the next morning at around 11 a.m., I go to the bathroom at work. I'm at work. I go into the bathroom. I just check my phone while I'm using the restroom, as we do. And that's when I see the messages from two men supposedly being my cousins. And I'm just like, hold on, if y'all my cousins, in my head, right, there's so many like scammers out there, like whatever, there's so many weirdos out there. So I'm just like, I'm gonna be safe. If y'all know each other, I'm finna put y'all in a group chat together, because if you don't know each other, y'all just got caught red-handed. So that's definitely the type of timing I'm on. Like, I'm not silly, gaggy, nothing. So I go on Instagram, put them in a group chat together, and I'm like, okay, y'all say y'all know each other. And they're like, yeah, like we are cousins. We're all first cousins. Like literally, we know your dad like raised us. And they sent me a picture of him. I'm like, are you sure? Because he looks like sorry dad, but he looks like an older gentleman. And I'm just like, okay. They're like, yeah, I'm on the phone with him right now. I can get you in contact with him. What's your number? Or I think he called me on WhatsApp. And he was just in such disbelief and such shock. And I'm just like, how do you know? And he literally just started saying my mom's name, all four of my sister's names. And like, I don't post my family on social media at this time. So like nobody can know that. Like I don't talk about like my sisters, my family, and they knew like the two eldest, which I didn't even grow up with. So the fact that you could even know that is like beyond me. I instantly just started crying. And that's the video that a lot of y'all have seen, that the radio in Guinea, the news outlet in Guinea has reposted, me ugly crying. That was real life, raw footage. Unfortunately, we tried to get the sound, but something happened where the sound didn't come in, unfortunately. But like, we were both just bawling our eyes out. And wow, it was just crazy. And that's when I started asking him, like, where are you? What happened to you? And he told me a lot of unfortunate things, a lot of unfortunate and unfair things that happen a lot in America. If you are in the United States of America, as you can tell, ICE is a huge problem here. It's huge, huge, huge problem. My dad was not illegal. He had his green card, but especially in the early 2000s, like they don't care now. So if you think that they don't care now, like imagine in the early 2000s, they're going to believe anything that a white person says. And that's just the reality of it. That's just how the United States of America is, unfortunately. We are constantly trying to change it. And we are slowly changing it, but not as efficient and or fast as we would like it to. It's just not fair. And unfortunately, rather than doing research, of course, there's no justice system. Like it's insane how you can wrongfully deport someone so innocent and so kind, someone that has come here and has been here for over 40 years and has just given their life to working and just being a good person. It's just a very unfair, cruel country that we live in. And if they would have done their research at the time on my mother and that situation, they would have realized that my father is by far a way better fit parent, Mother already had 2 kids taken away from her by the state. Actually, 4 kids taken from her. Shouldn't have had a 5th. Like, point blank period. And I thank God that I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, life happens, things happen, but it's just extremely unfair. And I do think that if my dad would have had custody of me and if he was the one that raised me, I do think that my life would have been very, very, very different from what it is now. Again, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful and grateful. However, I do think that I would have gone a lot further in life had my dad was given the opportunity to do so. And that's just that. And so now we're on to, okay, cool. Well, shit, it's going to be easier for me to go there than it is for him to come here. Now what? Now we try to plan and figure out how am I going to get there. Not only did I find my dad in all of this, but I found family for someone who, and I'm going to try not to cry because I've been trying not to cry this whole time. But for someone who was isolated from not only their culture, but from reality, from peers, from family. I genuinely grew up being so isolated and kind of like a black sheep. My mom didn't really want to go around people, especially as we got older. And I can understand why now, because it would have been harder for her to keep her secrets with us being more aware and with the cognitive skills that you have, of course, with age and maturity. But I really grew up with no family, and I've always yearned for that. That is something that I've always desired in my 28 years of living. I have just yearned family and culture. Honestly, I've tried to attach to other cultures because I just felt something missing inside of me, like genuinely missing inside of me. And when I found this, the truth, my identity, it's just so overwhelming. It's just so overwhelming with joy and happiness and gratefulness and just so much, honestly. And not only that, but I found the family that literally lived 15 minutes down the road from where I was living in Massachusetts that I grew up with. And the first time that I went and saw them, like I instantly like remembered who they were, even though I haven't seen them in like 20 years, which was crazy. And I'm just like, wow, like these were like my best friends, like my cousins growing up. I haven't seen them in 20 years. Like, this is crazy. And then when they tell me certain things and memories, like, it's like the memories start to come back. And it's crazy because you always hear like, oh, you block out trauma in your life. And for a long time, like I didn't remember like certain periods of my life. And then when I'm being told stories by like the family members, it's just, it's crazy how like everything literally just starts to come back to you. And so I've seen my family up there in New Hampshire. I have family literally all over the United States. And again, my family is huge. Sorry, I'm kind of going on here and I'm trying to keep my train of thought. But I have family literally all over the United States, all over the world. It's crazy. And so I did come back to Atlanta before I moved here and saw more family. If you guys follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you probably saw some clips of that, of me seeing that family. And I spent my first Thanksgiving with some of my family out here, and it was just incredible. Like I already met like probably 30 to 40 people in Atlanta alone. That's my family, uncles, tuntons, aunties, cousins, just so much. And so I've been so grateful for their help as well, because Africans, we fucking stick together. I'll tell you that. Africans definitely stick together. And that's something that I love so much, because like if you ever need help with anything, they're literally one call away. And so onto this process of trying to get to Guinea. So I'm so thankful that my family has been such of help to me during this entire process. There are so many vaccines that they say are required in order to travel. You have to get a visa, this and that. Y'all, I was trying to vlog like me getting vaccines. That was a whole shit show. I'll insert some clips here and there for what I'm talking in regards to throughout all of this. All right, bag is secured. I got my Hebe and my tetanus shots. That's all I really needed. Tomorrow I'm gonna go to the travel clinic and I'm gonna get typhoid, yellow fever, and malaria prevention. But I also got a prescription of azithromycin just in case, you know, I get a little tummy ache over there. Hopefully not. I'm also gonna bring Pepto-Bismol and all that good shit. So yay, it's getting closer and closer so I see my family. Guys, so I literally went to go get my vaccines, whatever, for the yellow fever for my trip. Fill everything out, whatever, got off of work early, drove 40 minutes away to go to the appointment. So we go into the office and I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to the office so that way she can just like disclose some information to us about the side effects of the yellow fever vaccine, because that's what she said on the phone. She tells us that we can't get the yellow fever vaccine because we had recently just got the Hep A and the tetanus shot, and you need like 10 days apart in between vaccines. Cool. Didn't know that, mind you. I had advised the doctor when I went to go get my other vaccines that I was getting the yellow fever vaccine as well. Nobody ever said anything about you gotta wait 10 days, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, the trip is literally in like a week. So, yeah. There's that. Or no, the trip is in like 2 weeks. So, got denied for that, and we're still in the middle of filling out the visa, so hopefully it's not required on there. But the vaccines were crazy. I didn't end up getting any of the vaccines, like yellow fever, all of that, because I was only going for 10 days anyways. And when I spoke to people, I actually got rejected to get it because I got up to date on the Hep A and B vaccines as well as the tetanus shot just to kind of have. And when I got those, I guess it was too close to not only my trip, but also too close together for when I was trying to get the yellow fever vaccine. So they literally denied me when I went to the clinic to get the yellow fever vaccine, which I was actually kind of grateful for because I did not have that extra money. Like, first of all, I did not know or take into account how expensive vaccines are. So I just wasn't prepared. And in all honesty, I was not financially like really able to go. Like, I had to save up for this, and I'm so thankful that one of my cousins actually paid for my ticket for me to go, and I'm again so forever grateful to him for that, because the tickets were like $1,700. And again, I did have the GoFundMe because a lot of people said to put up a GoFundMe, which is still up, by the way. And honestly, a lot of those funds, like it did go to the trip for sure, and it also helped me to escape my abusive mother, to come down here to Georgia. And real quick, because again, I know I'm all over the place with this story time, but I relocated to Georgia. I also have a series on my TikTok as well, called The Journey Home, which is me leaving New Hampshire to travel down to Georgia, which is where I drove to. And a huge reason as to why I wanted to move to Georgia. One, I always felt like I never belonged to New Hampshire, and if anybody personally knows me, you know how much I despise living there. Like, I genuinely hate the cold. Like, I don't resonate with New Hampshire at all. And a lot of times I just say I'm from Boston just because. But I was so hyped to leave, to the point where I demoted myself from a supervisor at my job, at my position. My job was able to go remote for me, and as soon as I found out all of this, like, I probably moved within a month, not even, of me finding out all of this information. And again, so much happened with my mom and this and that. We'll talk about all that in a different video. But knowing that my dad lived out here and he was gonna raise me in Atlanta, I was just like, okay, I have family down there. He was gonna raise me down there. I need to go down there. I need to go to where I was supposed to be, where I was meant to grow up. is genuinely how I felt, because I did live down here, and then my mom took me from my dad and brought me up to New Hampshire, but I was living down here when I was a kid, and this is again where I was supposed to grow up. So I just felt like this is probably the closest thing that I'm gonna be able to call home, because I've never felt like I had a home, honestly. Like, I moved around a lot as a kid, and when you just grow up with instability, you just want to fucking create that for yourself so fucking bad when you're an adult. And so, yeah, I just felt like, okay, I wanted to move anyways. Coming out here is the best option. So fast forward to being down here and trying to plan a trip to go out there. Ticket prices kept going up. So I was just like, you know what? I just got to book this shit. And then also my dad is 70 years old. So I just wanted to go see him as soon as possible, honestly. Like, I wasn't really prepared like at all, but like, one thing about me, and two things for certain, I adapt easily to things. Because I had instability growing up, and because I moved around so much, I had no other choice but to adapt to the place that I'm in. So for me, it was like, okay, it's either now or never type shit. Like, and one thing about me, two things for certain, I've always been the first person to hop on a plane. So thank God I already had my passport, because when I moved back to New Hampshire, something in me, again, this is right before I found my dad, something in me told me that I needed to get my passport. So I literally got my passport. And then like a month or two later is when I found my dad. Crazy how all of that works. God and the universe, it just be doing this thing. I'm gonna put in clips here and there throughout the video while I'm talking, so that way y'all can see the visuals and all of that. But this entire process has been absolutely crazy. I'm so thankful and grateful and appreciative of every single person that has shared this journey, who has been following along, who has donated, who has prayed. I just thank you all so much. And to anyone out there that is in a similar situation that I was in or is in, and if you are looking for your loved ones, please reach out to me, because I genuinely want to help you. I have responded to many people that have reached out to me, people that I even kind of like knew in my early 20s, or people that I grew up with. People have reached out to me for help. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned and following along this journey and this whole entire process with me. I am forever grateful and appreciative of literally everyone that has shared, followed, subscribed. Continue to follow along this journey, y'all, because my goal is to go back to Guinea as soon as possible. I like to go within the next 6 months or so when it's cooler, and I want to stream. So if you're not following my Twitch, make sure you follow my Twitch. Everything is Bad Beauty XO or Finding Queen. All of my platforms are Bad Beauty XO. Make sure y'all follow along, because I really, really, really want to go back to Guinea for a longer period of time and stream while I'm there. So make sure you guys are following my Twitch. I'm not as active on there, but I want to be. So make sure y'all go over there and stay tuned for the rest of this video to see me reuniting with my dad. Okay guys, we made it through check-in, and we're going through TSA right now. Wish us luck, pray for us. And first up is Paris. Alright guys, so we have made it to Paris, and now I'm just rinsing my face. Got water all over. I just brush my teeth, use the wet wipe, cleanse the whole body. They got gift shops here, like Dior, all that, so I sprayed myself with some ice.
Hey, queen. Get on the plane. Look at the outfit. Okay, guys, we're on the plane aboard for Guinea. We're on our way.
building on the inside. We in Africa, girl. At this point, thankfully, one of my family members came inside of the airport, found us, and was able to escort us to our luggage. And that was really cool. So right now, they're just transporting our luggage to the vehicle. And it's so beautiful, y'all. Like, the air smells different. Like, this is just crazy. And then next thing you know, my little brother. My little brother, I didn't even realize that he was even going to be there at the airport waiting for us. And I was just so overwhelmed with emotions, as you can hear. Oh my goodness, he's so tall and beautiful. Oh my gosh, we look just alike. It's just so crazy. And once we touched the Guinean ground, I can't tell you the relief that I felt just be lifted off of my shoulders. Like, this entire past year alone, I have been trying so hard to put puzzle pieces together, quite literally, and break down parts of my life and heal from childhood trauma and just so much. Like, looking for my dad, I didn't understand what came with it, and it came with so much healing. And I'm just so grateful that I have been able to use my platform to be able to utilize it and to find my dad, like, to actually find him. I thought this was gonna take forever, honestly, and I'm just so thankful that my family is so huge and I was able to find him within such a short period of time, and to now I'm literally in Guinea about to see my dad for the first time in 20 years. Like, this is just so heartwarming to me, and I'm so grateful, honestly. And now I have to learn French again and Fula and so many other things, but I'm just so excited more than anything. And thank y'all for being with me along this journey. Make sure y'all are subscribed and you're continuing to follow me along this amazing journey. Make sure you stay tuned for the next video to see me reunite with my dad.